Hello, friends. Hope you are fine. Today, the podcast about Rahu in fifth house. As I had repeated that Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, one can't expect anything positive out of it. And its placement in the malefic houses, especially in the sixth house, eighth house, and 12th house, it's a matter of concern, isn't it? As I had explained, Rahu till fifth house. So far as sixth house is concerned, it's also considered one of the malefic houses. But so far as the malefic influence of sixth house is concerned, it's relatively low as compared to eighth house and 12th house rather. Now, in case of Rahu and Ketu, as I said also in the Ketu series, that when Rahu or Ketu is placed in the malefic houses, they activate the negative significations of such houses. So one can't expect anything, in case of fifth house, you watched, you came to know that Rahu gives positive results as well if it is not afflicting its house of placement in the chart. But in case of its placement in the malefic houses, it activates only negative significations. So Rahu in the sixth house, during its Antardasha, if it is afflicting, that will be irrespective of Antardasha, that the effects will be long-lived, isn't it? It will be a long-lived impact. In case Rahu does not afflict its house of placement, in case Rahu afflicts its house of placement, in both the cases, problem will be there. So it will lead to chronic illness. There will be ulcers in the stomach. There will be acidity. There will be intestinal issues, and there is threat of imprisonment, and there are disputes, litigations, and unstable life pattern. So one has to face professional issues also. If Rahu is afflicting in the sixth house, there will be litigations with respect to the profession. There will be disputes in the career life, isn't it? In the professional life, there will be disputes, and there is fear of losses through thefts and fire, and there will be also inclination towards imprisonment. As I said, that one will face expenses, wasteful expenses, isn't it? So disintegration of family and problems with the marital life, problems with the parents, these are the main issues when Rahu is afflicting in the sixth house. So sixth house is the house of diseases, so it will lead to undiagnosed disease. One of the main signification of Rahu on medical grounds is that the disease is undiagnosed. All the tests, medical tests in the laboratories, as the medical test is recommended by the doctor, they will be normal, but there will be still problem. So in most of the charts, there's a proper way, and what could be done now in order to get free from the impact of Rahu? There are proper remedies. You can't remove Rahu from sixth house, but you can have the remedies for Rahu, isn't it? So do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos. So with the consistent and regular remedies, it's possible to lessen the impact of Rahu in the chart. However, if Mercury is utterly strong in the chart, and Mars is also utterly strong in the chart, and in case Jupiter gives favorable aspect to Rahu, under such circumstances the impact of Rahu felt will be negligible. So these are the main points of Rahu in the sixth house in case of Aries ascendant. Now Taurus ascendant, in case of Taurus ascendant, Rahu gives good results, but so far as the placement of Rahu in the sixth house is concerned, it is a problem for all the ascendants, irrespective of what the ascendant is. It is a problem when Rahu is placed in the malefic houses, and here we can't activate, because this will activate the negative significations of the sixth house. As I repeated over and again, whenever Rahu is placed in the malefic houses, it activates the negative significations of the these houses, because it does not enjoy its lordship. There is no zodiac sign of Rahu, isn't it? As there is zodiac sign of Mars, there is zodiac sign of Mercury, Venus, but Rahu does not possess in it. These are nodes, these are shadowy planets, but they play an important role in Vedic astrology. And most of the problems that natives have to face, they are due to Rahu and Ketu, and most deadly problems they face out of Ketu, isn't it? The most challenging planet for all the ascendants is Ketu. Rahu does not lead to such restrictions as Ketu does. It's a practical, it's a reality rather. However, if Rahu is afflicting, it's a matter of concern, it's a matter of serious concern, I'll say, when it's afflicting its house of placement in the 6th house. In case of Taurus ascendant native, it will be a matter of serious concern for the native. There will be threat of imprisonment, there will be chronic illness, ulcers in the stomach, acidity, and there is no threat of imprisonment. There are disputes and litigations and challenges in the life. There is the tendency of losses through thefts and fires, and there are disputes in the professional life as well, and one faces disintegration in the family, problems with respect to status and reputation in the society. So these are the main problems. However, during its antardasha, it will create the same problems. If Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement in the 6th house, it will still create problem, isn't it? These problems will be still there, so it will lead to disputes, life of disputes and litigations, threat of imprisonment also, and there will be chronic illness also, and undiagnosed disease will be there. There will be problems with respect to intestines, large intestines as well. So these are the main issues when Rahu is placed in the 6th house. Now what could be done? Do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. What could be done? You can't remove Rahu from 6th house, but you can remove the malefic influence of Rahu, and that is possible with the consistent remedies, isn't it? However, if Venus is utterly strong, Saturn is utterly strong, or Jupiter in this case gives favorable aspect to Rahu, I can't say that it will control Rahu. It will lead to serious problems, because Jupiter is a problem for Taurus ascendant, isn't it? So in case Venus is utterly strong in the chart, it will safeguard the significations of the 6th house. The health of the native will be stable to the great extent, given Venus is utterly strong in the chart. So these are the main points with respect to Rahu in the 6th house. Let us come to Gemini. So far as Gemini ascendant is concerned, Gemini is considered to be one of the ascendants for which Ketu is the most malefic planet. As I said, that Rahu gives good results in Gemini, but in case of Rahu is placed in malefic houses, it activates the negative significations. It activates the negative significations of these malefic houses, and that becomes a problem for the native. In case it's afflicting its house of placement in the 6th house, it leads to undiagnosed diseases, it leads to chronic illness, it leads to problems in large intestines, and life is full of disputes, litigations, and challenges, and one faces threat of imprisonment also. There are disputes with respect to professional life, one faces disintegration in the family as well. There are problems with respect to status and reputation in the society, with respect to fame also. So these are the main issues when Rahu is afflicting its house of placement in the 6th house. However, the impact of Rahu in this case, that will be strange. Why? Because Rahu, being malefic planet, as I said, is a planet of malefic nature, and Rahu in Scorpio, it gets debilitated. So when a malefic planet gets debilitated, it creates multiple problems, isn't it? Its severity of causing problems that increases multiple times, isn't it? So that becomes a matter of concern for the native. So what could be done now? Do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos. What could be done? You can't remove Rahu from 5th house, but you can remove the malefic influence of Rahu, and that is possible with the consistent remedies, isn't it? So however, if Mercury is utterly strong in the chart, Mars is utterly strong in the chart, they will act as the general significators of the 6th house. They will safeguard the significations of the 6th house, and Sun should be utterly strong in the chart. In this case, the determinant of health will be Sun, and Moon should also be strong in the chart in order to safeguard the significations of the 2nd house. So these are the main factors to be considered. However, if Jupiter gives favorable and close aspect to Rahu in the chart, it will lessen the impact of Rahu in the chart in such case. However, if Rahu is not afflicting, it will create a problem. Still, it will be a problem during its antardasha. So there will be the same problems, but the severity will decrease. All depends on the nature of chart. However, these are the generalized impact, generalized results that everyone must know, uh, depending on the chart. Now here in the sixth house, we can't wear hazonite, a gemstone for Rahu. That will become a problem because you will face problems. Why? Because Rahu activates the negative significations of the malefic houses. You can't get anything positive, isn't it? So that's why in the malefic houses we can't recommend gemstone for Rahu. That is a problem. So let us now move to the Cancer ascendant. As I said that in Cancer ascendant Lagna, Rahu creates severe problems as compared to other signs, other ascendants rather. So Rahu in the malefic houses is a problem. As I had said that Rahu is a planet of Jalal malefic nature, one can't expect anything positive out of it, and its placement in the malefic houses is a problem because it activates the negative significations of these houses, because Rahu does not possess any sign of itself, isn't it? So Rahu, when it afflicts its house of placement in the sixth house, it leads to undiagnosed diseases, problems in the large intestine. There is chronic illness, there is ulcers in the stomach, there is acidity, and there are disputes and litigations. Life is full of challenges, and there is threat of imprisonment. Problems with respect to mental peace. Problems with respect to sleep, and one faces disputes and litigations in professional life also. There are problems with respect to family, disintegration of family, and problems in the marital life also. And there are problems with respect to status and reputation in the society. So these are the main results when Rahu is afflicting its house of placement in the sixth house. So what could be done now? And if Rahu is not afflicting, the impact will be still there, especially during its Antardasha. So these are the main results. Now what could be done? Firstly, do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos, because it's your duty. My right is to upload the content, and your duty is to subscribe the channel. So then it is something based on justice and something based on discipline. However, Rahu can be controlled with the consistent remedies for Rahu, charities for Rahu, and that should be regular, and it depends on the extent of affliction in the chart, isn't it? So depending on the extent of affliction, usually when the extent of affliction is more than 50%, it becomes a matter of concern for the native. So the proper remedies for Rahu should be considered. However, if Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Moon, they are utterly strong in the chart, the impact felt despite the affliction of Rahu from the sixth house will be negligible. But these planets should be utterly strong. However, if Jupiter is alone, Jupiter is utterly strong, it will safeguard the significations of safeguard the significations of sixth house in that case, isn't it? Or in other case, if Jupiter gives favorable aspect to Rahu, that will lessen the impact of Rahu to such the great extent, depending on the closeness of the aspect given to Rahu. So these are the main points to be considered while dealing with Rahu in sixth house in case of Cancer ascendant. Now let us come to Leo ascendant chart. So far as Leo is concerned, in Leo ascendant it gives the same results as I have said. But what is the problem? The problem is that it's different. Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, as I said. Do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos. Now Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, one can't expect anything positive out of it, and its placement in the malefic houses is a problem because it activates the negative significations in the sixth in the malefic houses, as it does not possess its sign, isn't it? So here it becomes a problem when it's afflicting its house of placement in the chart in sixth house. It leads to undiagnosed diseases, it leads to problems in the large intestine, it leads to stomach ulcers, it leads to acidity also, it leads to problem in the large intestine, and there are problems with respect to professional area. One has to face litigations and disputes in professional life. There is threat of imprisonment, and life is full of disputes, litigations, and challenge, and it leads to chronic illness as well, and there is a chances of losses through theft and fire. So these are the main results when Rahu is afflicting its house of placement in the sixth house. So if it's not afflicting, the results will be same, and that will get activated during its Antardasha. It's never ever recommended. You can't wear hazonite when Rahu is placed in the sixth house. That's the problem. However, if Mercury is utterly strong, Moon is utterly strong, Sun is utterly strong in the chart, it will help. and to lessen the impact of Rahu. And if Jupiter gives close favorable aspect to Rahu, that will also lessen the problem, impact of Rahu in the chart. So these are the main factors to be considered while dealing with Rahu in the sixth house. Now then we come to the Virgo ascendant chart. For Virgos, Rahu gives good results, but it is a problem when Rahu is placed in the sixth house in the Lagna chart in the D1. So it is a problem, as I said, that Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature. One can't expect anything positive out of it. So Rahu, when afflicting its out of house of placement in the sixth house, it leads to undiagnosed diseases. It leads to chronic illness, ulcers, stomach ulcers, acidity. It leads to problems in the large intestine. There are threats of imprisonment. One faces disputes and litigations in professional life, and there is loss of money. There is loss of property through fire and theft, and one has to face challenges in life. There is disintegration of family. There are problems with respect to marital life. One faces problems with respect to status and reputation in the society as well. However, if Saturn, Sun, Mercury, Venus are utterly strong in the chart, it will lessen the impact of Rahu in the chart. And in case Jupiter gives close aspect to Rahu, that will help to lessen the impact of Rahu in the chart. So these are the main results. If Rahu is not afflicting, it's still a problem being in the malefic house. So it will activate the negative significations of the sixth house, especially during its antardasha. So in both the cases, there's a problem, isn't it? Now what could be done? Do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos. The first remedy is to subscribe the channel, because it will help you to do remedies for the malefics. The knowledge that you will gain by subscribing the channel, your problems will get solved. So that is, in fact, a reality. That's not a joke, rather. So it becomes a problem. Now what could be done? There are remedies. In case of Virgo ascendant chart, I have practically controlled Rahu with the help of gem therapy. With the help of gemstone, there's a proper way which gemstone to wear, how to wear, in which metal to wear, that can control Rahu, and the remedy is perfect. I have given consultation to many Virgo ascendant natives. Usually the health of Virgo ascendant natives remain disturbed. However, if Saturn is utterly strong in the chart, the health will be stable. It will not deteriorate at the fast rate, but usually they face afflictions from the transit. They are prone to transit afflictions, especially when Mars gives afflictions in the chart. It becomes a matter of concern for such natives. And if on the other hand Rahu also gives afflictions, it becomes a matter of concern. So I have given consultation to many Virgo ascendant natives, and controlling Rahu with the gemstone, that is possible with the 100% results and with the practical results, because my approach to astrology is practical. As also Virgo ascendant natives, they like practical based knowledge, not like something theory and imagination. And my approach from starting till end, from Aries to the Pisces, is practical. My approach to Vedic astrology as a whole is practical. Other fairy tales that you are watching on YouTube, that will never be a part of my discussion or part of my podcast. And I'm unable to understand what they are saying, unable to what they are saying for 3 hours, weekly horoscope video for 3 hours, and what is being what is the content. I just it's an irony. What can I say? Anyhow, controlling Rahu in case of Virgo ascendant is possible with the gemstone, not with the charities alone. And charities help definitely, but that have to be regular and consistent, isn't it? Now let us move to Libra ascendant. Libra ascendant chart, do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos. As I've said, that Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature. One can expect anything positive out of it. And Rahu, when placed in the malefic houses, activates the negative significance of the malefic house. So Rahu, when placed in the sixth house, is a problem. If it is afflicting, it is a problem. If it is not afflicting, it is a problem. You can't activate Rahu, you can't use Hazanai gemstone. Why? Because Rahu activates the negative significations of the malefic houses. So when Rahu is placed in the 6th house, it activates the negative signification. If it is afflicting its house of placement, it leads to undiagnosed disease, chronic illness, stomach ulcers, acidity, problems in large intestine, loss through theft and fire, and life is full of disputes and litigations and challenges. One has to face disputes in the professional life also. There is disintegration of family, there are problems with respect to marital life, isn't it? So these are the main. One also faces threat of imprisonment. One faces problems with respect to sleep, isn't it? With respect to conjugal relations also, rather. So these are the main results when Rahu is afflicting in the 6th house. And if Rahu is not afflicting, these problems will be there, especially during the Antardasha of Rahu. So it's a problem. Now what could be done? No, you can't remove Rahu from 6th house, but you can remove the malefic influence of Rahu by doing the charities for Rahu, and that is possible with the proper and consistent remedies, for example charities and other remedies for Rahu, in order to lessen its impact in the chart. And the impact felt will be massive during its Antardasha and Mahadasha, and more impact will be felt during the Antardasha of Rahu rather than Mahadasha of Rahu. So these are the main points. Scorpio ascendant, as in Aries, it will be a problem. And the Scorpions, it does not give good results. Usually it's a problem overall for Scorpio ascendant natives. However, as I said, that Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, and its placement in the 6th house is a problem, because 6th house is a malefic house. It activates the negative significations of the 6th house. So when either afflicting, either not afflicting, in both the cases it is a problem. When it's afflicting its house of placement in the 6th house, it leads to undiagnosed disease, chronic illness, stomach ulcers, acidity, problems to large intestine, isn't it? Life is full of disputes and litigations and challenge, and there is loss of money through theft and fire, isn't it? Loss of property through, there is loss of finances through fire and theft. And one has to face disputes and litigations in professional life also. There is threat of imprisonment, there is disintegration of family. One has to face marital issues also. So however, if Mars is utterly weak, Sun is utterly if Mars is utterly strong, if Sun is utterly strong, if Venus is utterly strong, if Jupiter is utterly strong in the chart, the strength of these planets will safeguard the significations of the houses concerned. Especially if Mars is utterly strong in the chart, it will safeguard the significations of the 6th house, and Rahu will not be able to impact with the 6th house to such an extent. On the other hand, if Jupiter gives close aspect to Rahu, that will again lessen the impact of Rahu in the chart. So these are the main points. To subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos. Now, when Rahu gives afflictions in the 6th house, what could be done? You can't remove Rahu from 6th house, but you can remove the malefic influence of Rahu, isn't it? So this is this is what comprises the scope of astrology, isn't it? Now, Sagittarius ascendant chart. In case of Sagittarius ascendant, Rahu becomes exalted in the 6th house, and that is a problem when a malefic planet, as I said, that Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, and in case of Sagittarius ascendant, it does not give good results, so far as my experience and my opinion is concerned. However, if it's afflicting its house of placement in the 6th house or not afflicting, it is a problem in both the cases. As I said, that Rahu in the malefic houses activates the negative significations of the malefic houses, especially during Antardasha and Mahadasha. Now here, Rahu being malefic planet and it is exalted, it will create double problem. So it's a problem, especially when it is afflicting in the chart in 6th house. So when it's afflicting its house of placement, it leads to undiagnosed disease, it leads to chronic illness, it leads to stomach ulcers, problems in large intestine, acidity. Life is full of disputes and litigations and challenge, and there is a lot of loss of property through theft and fire. And one faces litigations and disputes in professional area as well. There is disintegration of family. One has to face issues in the marital life also. There is threat of imprisonment. So these are the main results of when Rahu is afflicting its house of placement in the 6th house. However, if Rahu is not afflicting, this impact will be there depending on the strength of the concerned planets, and especially the impact will be felt during its Antardasha, in such a situation. Now, what is the remedy, isn't it? In case Jupiter gives favorable aspect to Rahu, close aspect to Rahu, it will lessen the impact of Rahu in the chart, isn't it? Now, what is the remedy? Remedy is, do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. You can't remove Rahu from 6th house, neither you can use Hazunite because it is a problem. So you can do the consistent remedies for Rahu in terms of charities, and other remedies are there, but the remedy should be consistent. All depends on the extent of affliction of Rahu in the chart. If the extent of affliction is more than 50%, strength of Rahu affliction, there are multiple factors to be considered. I can't explain all the factors in this podcast, because my job is to express the results, to describe the results of Rahu in 6th house. And usually most of the people who watch these podcasts, they won't be able to understand what will I say, because that will be with the higher level, and that you won't watch, that you don't watch on the other YouTube channels, because most of the channels, they are filled with fairy tales. But astrology is a science, it's a divine science. There is nothing like fairy tales, nothing like this and that. I won't name such channels, but in the future I will do so. But it's an irony what is being described in the transit, in the weekly horoscope. It's an irony, isn't it? Fairy tales, imaginations are being put forth the people in order to describe the impact of planets and signs and conjunctions in the chart. So these are the main points, isn't it? Capricorn ascendant chart, Rahu gives good results. However, if Rahu is placed in malefic house, it is a problem. And as I said, that Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature. One can't expect anything positive out of it. And when it's placed in the malefic house, it becomes a double problem, because it activates the negative significations of the malefic houses, isn't it? So if it is afflicting its house of placement in the 6th house, it leads to undiagnosed disease. It leads to chronic illness. There are intestinal issues. One has to face losses out of theft and fire. Life is full of disputes and litigations. One has to face disputes in the professional life as well. There is disintegration of family, and there is problem with respect to status and reputation in the society, and there is threat of imprisonment as well. However, if Venus, if Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, these planets are utterly strong in the chart, it will help to lessen the impact of Rahu in the chart, isn't it? So if Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement, it will create problem during its Antardasha. It will definitely create problem during its Antardasha. But the effect of Rahu in the malefic house, it will depend on the multiple factors. For example, the extent of affliction in the chart, isn't it? Or what is the strength of Rahu, isn't it? If Rahu is in infancy and Rahu is in old age, so what is the strength of Rahu? If Rahu is in infancy, it has no power, it won't create any problem, isn't it? So it depends if it gives afflictions in the chart or not giving afflictions. So there are multiple factors which determine the impact of Rahu in the chart, and these are the generalized results. What I've said, that what are the effects of Rahu in the 6th house in case of all the ascendants. So do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified of the upcoming videos. You can also watch weekly horoscope, that's in the playlist, and weekly horoscope will be there for each and every week. So do subscribe the channel in order to get notified for the weekly horoscope as well. Now Aquarius ascendant, as I said, that Aquarians, Rahu is a nice planet for Aquarians also, but in the malefic houses it's not recommended. Gemstone for Rahu is never ever recommended, because it activates the negative significations. As I said, that it's the planet of general malefic nature. One can't expect anything benefic out of it like other benefic planets. So in the 5th house, in the 6th house, it is a problem. If it is afflicting its house of placement in the 6th house, it leads to undiagnosed disease. There is chronic illness. If moon is utterly weak in the chart, life is full of disputes and litigations and challenge, and one has to face loss through theft and fire. And there are litigations litigation disputes in the professional life also. There is disintegration of family, problems with respect to marital life also, problems with respect to status and reputation, with respect to fame. All depends on the extent of Rahu affliction. If it's more than 50%, affliction is more than 50%, it becomes a cause of concern for the native. However, if the impact of Jupiter, isn't it? If Jupiter closely aspects Rahu, so it will lessen the impact of Rahu in the chart, because Jupiter destroys Rahu. So it's my practical, an astrologer with a practical approach. There will be no fairy tales, there will be no this and that, no imaginations as you watch on other YouTube channels. However, what could be done now? If it's not afflicting its house of placement, it will create problem during its antardasha, and that itself will depend on the other factors. For example, the strength of Rahu. How strong is Rahu to create problem in the chart? So these are the multiple factors. Do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this, and there is a weekly horoscope also. You can watch that also. Now, the last ascendant of this series with Rahu in 6th house is Pisces ascendant. As I said, that Rahu gives worst results in case of Pisces ascendant chart. So in case of 6th house, it will be a problem. It will be an strange problem, and here Sun should be utterly strong in the chart. So Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature. One can't expect anything positive out of it, like and other benefic planets. When it's afflicting its house of placement in the chart, it leads to undiagnosed disease, chronic illness. Life is full of disputes and litigations, problems in intestines, and there are litigations and disputes in professional life also. One has to face disintegration, family problems, issues in marital life, problems with respect to status and reputation in the society. One also faces threat of imprisonment. There is loss through theft and fire, and accidents will be there. So these are the main problems out of Rahu during its antardasha, or irrespective of antardasha, when it's afflicting the chart. When it's not afflicting its house of placement, it will impact it during its antardasha, and that itself will depend on the other factors, like what is the strength of Rahu, and in case of affliction, what is the extent of affliction. If it's more than 50%, then it becomes a cause of concern. However, if Jupiter gives close aspect to Rahu, so that controls Rahu to a great extent. And in case of Pisces ascendant, Rahu can be controlled fully with the help of gemstones. There is a proper remedy to control Rahu with gemstone, and it's my practical, and it has been successful. I have received positive feedback from the clients of Pisces ascendant natives, where I have controlled Rahu with gemstone. So there's a gemstone remedy to control Rahu. If Rahu creates problem in the 6th house, either in the 8th house, either in the 12th house, either in any house in the chart, so it can be controlled easily. There is no problem at all. So these are the main results. To subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. And I have also uploaded weekly horoscope for this week. Do watch that also, and share this podcast as much as possible, so that those people who are interested in Vedic astrology, who want to increase their knowledge in Vedic astrology, they will benefit a lot from this channel. Bye bye.